Russia defaults on its sovereign debt for the first time in 100 years, and the G7 to raise $600 billion for infrastructure programs to compete with China. You're watching the Daily Brief with Forbes. I'm Ramia Farrage. Russia has defaulted on its foreign currency sovereign debt for the first time in 100 years. It's a culmination of Western sanctions that have shut down payment routes to overseas creditors. Last night, the grace period on about $100 million of interest payments due on May 27th expired. It's a poignant moment in Russia's rapid downfall into a global economic, financial, and political outcast. Russia's Eurobonds have traded at distressed levels since the start of March. The central bank's foreign reserves remain frozen, and the biggest banks are severed from the global financial system. The G7 group of rich democracies has announced an attempt to compete with China's formidable Belt and Road Initiative by raising $600 billion for global infrastructure programs in poor countries. The Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment will see the U.S. bring $200 billion to the table, with the rest of the G7 contributing another $400 billion by 2027. President Biden said funding these kinds of projects that China currently dominates isn't aid or charity. Rather, it will deliver returns for the G7 nations. Oil prices slipped by more than $1 a barrel this morning as global economic concerns depressed the oil demand outlook. Brent crude futures slipped by 1.3% to the $111 range, and West Texas fell to $106 a barrel in the early hours. Investors are also eyeing this G7 meeting, where the group are discussing options for tackling rising energy prices and replacing Russian oil and gas imports. The world's top producer of copper sees a firm copper price ahead despite a recent sharp fall. Chilean state-owned copper miner Codelco made the comments as copper prices posted their biggest weekly fall in a year. The drop came as investors worried that central bank tightening to stem inflation will stifle global economic growth and reduce demand for metals. Codelco officials say it's a temporary short-term turbulence, and the fundamentals of supply and demand look very favorable. Shares rose more than 3% in Hong Kong this morning, in line with a rally across Asian markets, with weak economic data easing concerns over central bank interest rate hikes. The Hang Seng jumped 3.15% to close at 22,400, its highest level since early April. The gains came on the back of a rally in tech giants, including Alibaba and JD.com, on hopes that China's crackdown on the sector is about to end. And that brings us to today's Forbes RealTime Billionaires ranking, which tracks the real-time gains and losses of the world's richest people. No surprise, our biggest winner today is Tencent's Ma Huateng, up $1.4 billion with net wealth of $42.2 billion. Our second biggest winner today is phone maker Xiaomi Lei Jun, up $1.2 billion with net wealth of $11.6 billion. And our third place winner is Indian infrastructure tycoon Gautam Adani and family, up $1.3 billion with net wealth of $99.4 billion. Check out our website and our social media for all of the latest billionaires news. In an unusually close box office battle, Elvis and Top Gun Maverick have tied for first place in North America, with each film bringing in $30.5 million over the weekend. Elvis and Top Gun Maverick were locked in a close battle throughout the weekend. For Elvis, a $30 million debut is impressive for a movie catering to older audiences. For Maverick, it's almost unheard of for a movie to generate $30 million in its fifth weekend of release.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher.
I'm Ramia Farrage. This is the Daily Brief. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.